think about privilege. I'm like, yo, if you have the time to tear down other people on your cell phone at your house, like that's a lot of free time and privileged opportunity to be taking and wasting on other people. Like that sort of thing. And it's hard for me when people can't see through that. Like, and that's how and there's so many different layers of our oppression as a human, where one of them is we feel like we have to pay for freedom. We have to give up this thing for freedom. We have to do this for this. Like there's always that we have to go through hell to get to heaven. We have to do all of these things. And it's all like this programming that we've been just embedded with. That's so...
Yeah, but then the paradox is that for living in a truly liberated way, often we do go through hell. Like I feel like I have been through... And only the people who know me and know the way I think and know how deeply I feel will know the kind of hell that I've put myself through in the name of healing and truth and freedom. And so I feel like, we got to plunge and I don't know, there is some truth to, I do feel like to know heaven, you've got to know hell. I feel like that's definitely true for me. But in terms of worthiness, you mean like I completely understand what you're saying.
I guess
about
I just
worthiness.
don't want to apply that for the future always.
No, absolutely not. Because the blueprint's been changed now. The blueprint's been changed so that we can access, and this is the whole thing with heaven and earth. For till now, I believe that there has been a prerequisite. You need to plunge to your hell to know heaven. And many of the leaders in this space, true leaders, I'm not talking about, there's true leaders who don't have a side, they are truly leading, energetically, like leading right now, have been to a personal hell. And they can taste heaven in every day, like few can. And they are forging a path so that more can access that more easily. 100%. It is not going to be a prerequisite in the future. Things are going to be beautiful, quicker, faster, easier, However, on that note, what you were saying with the worthiness, it's like we feel online like we need to prove all the hardships we've been through in order to say something, in order to have a nice dress, in order to have a nice this. And it's like when you become attuned to your path and what you're here to walk and why and your gifts to give this world, you stop explaining yourself and you stop making sure you know you're worthy, I believe. It's making sure others, stop caring that others know that you are worthy, because others will never, ever recognize your worth until they've recognized their own worth. And it's just not happening for a lot of people right now. And sad, yes, we've all been there. We all know the depths of a low self-worth. But when you start to walk your path confidently, something you earned, and only you know what it took, no one else does. When you start to walk like, oh my shoulders are back and this feels good. And it's like not everybody is going to believe that you're worthy of that, but other people are seeing through the lens of what they believe they're worthy of. And, and it's yet your worth, your sense of worth will activate in the right people,
I'm curious if you think too, because this is, with where you have to share, okay, so I've gone through hell. Now I am receiving gifts, or I'm receiving accolades, or I'm receiving this. For me, it feels like I perceive it to be women again. I don't know a lot of men that feel like they have to share all of their traumatic history.
No. And again, it is a blanket thing. There's some people who are dropped in this earth relatively traumaless, and they're just here to have a good fucking time. And they don't need to explain that to anyone either. And that's the thing. This is what we've got to get good at. And I talked about it and stopped missing the point a little bit, but I've got like a whole other class I want to do on it. It's about, if you cannot be okay with people, like the ultimate empathy is also being okay with people whose life seems to be offensively good to you. When you can start being like, well, that's their soul path and they're walking it. And as long as they are, liberated and free, I am cool. They are not offending me by living their path, no matter how glorious it looks like. That's a big healing, when humanity can be at that place where we are not constantly trying to make others have a shitter experience to make us feel better. And that's deep, and it's a lot, and there's a lot of stuff there that is for multiple people is triggering on multiple levels. But that's a big part of the healing that we're on. It's like not everybody is here to have the same experience in this life. They're just not. Is it fair? I don't know. But we didn't sign up for fair. We signed up for true. And we're here to have the experience that we're here to have. And, there's this ad, and I wrote a post about this the other day. I haven't posted it yet because I'm trying to get it right, There was this ad in Australia, and it was called Eyes on the Road, Rhonda, and it was like a car insurance ad or something where the lady was driving and they kept saying to her, eyes on the road, Rhonda. And so whenever you're in a car in Australia and you turn around, people will say to you, like, eyes on the road, Rhonda. Like, it's just like this joke that you all know. And I always think about it in terms of spirituality, like, get your eyes on your own fucking road. Like, turn, like, eyes on the road, Rhonda. And I want to make another ad about it that's more like, yes, I understand that person, this is this, but you don't know that person's soul. You have no idea what they've lived through, what they haven't lived through. And you're living in a way where you're entitled to know that person's deepest, darkest, like, or lightest, brightest stuff. You're entitled to know all their everything. Like, what about just accepting that they are living in accordance with their divine plan just as you are, and stop letting it be a distraction from what needs loving and liberating inside of you, and it's hard because other people are our triggers and they are our mirrors and everything, but we can overly indulge trying to make sense of other people's lives. We can go overboard with it, and we can try and make sense of, well, they don't deserve that. They haven't been through this. They would never understand this. What would they know? Easy for them. All these stories, and it's just like, do you know what? Maybe it is easy for them. Just let it be easy for them and focus back on what is true for you. And, that's right now, it's just because there are so many because there is so trauma around so much oppression, like real oppression, and so much inequality and flat out unfairness, just shit that's just completely unjust and just wrong, so wrong. And yet that trauma where, again, and it's not my space to comment on what people do with that in their own life. It's just not my place at all. But I know that for many, many of us, we are spending more of our energy on trying to get others to justify their path to us than we are on walking our own path. And we're never going to understand the depths of someone's path. We're never going to understand what makes them worthy of being here. But what we know is that they are. And we are too. And we need to turn our eyes back on the road, Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Morning Microdose by Almost 30.
We hope you enjoyed waking up.
As always, we encourage you to take what resonates and leave the rest. If you enjoyed this trip, tune into the full episode on the Almost 30 podcast. All episode information can be found in the show notes.
Make sure to subscribe, and if this becomes a part of your morning routine, be sure to share it with a friend. We have new inspiring doses Monday through Friday. Follow us on Instagram at Morning Microdose, and follow Almost 30 at Almost 30 Podcast.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the vortex.